Hello and welcome to our mini-minisode.
Yeah, that's a good name for it. The mini-minisode.
So we just wanted to take like a really short amount of time just to explain why we originally chose No Faith in Humanity and why we changed it to the Faith in Humanity podcast. Because contrary to rumors spreading around the internet, Sam and I are actually two different people. And sometimes we come up with ideas individually and then we kind of present it to the other person. We don't always see eye to eye, but this was one of the cases where we didn't talk about this at all, and we just like came one day where we just both had the same exact thought at the same exact time. So it was like, okay, yeah, we should definitely change the name. And also, I feel like this podcast, almost everything about this podcast, which we're kind of new at this, it's all changing. It's almost like I almost see like the format we're going to probably be changing up in a little bit. We've been talking about that. So we're still like, I feel like all this is still trying to figure out what works for us and everything. So for me, when I think you came up with the name No Faith in Humanity. I think you suggested it. Yeah, so I'm blaming you for the reason that we need to change it and everything.
I need to defend my honor here. Perform an honor killing. Yeah! But, yeah, so originally when I came up with the name No Faith in Humanity, it had a subtitle to it that was Why We Stick This Thing Out. And then we both just kind of, well, I think I started to cringe because it was like my mind child, and I didn't want it to sound like a suicide prevention, podcast, because we wanted to be talking about faith and philosophy and people's lives and, stuff, and not just have it be this big, man, our cats are still fighting, this ongoing monologue about why you shouldn't be killing yourself. But so we decided not to go with the subtitle, and then because we just left the name No Faith in Humanity, which is a little bit snarky, we started to get this growing sensation that we might be being perceived as snarky people, and that could possibly threaten the people who would want to talk to us before they ever did talk to us. So, but we liked the snarkiness because we are kind of snarky people. But we also wanted to be inviting. Hard to convey those things.
I was concerned that someone could perceive that the objective of this podcast was that we are going to prove and break down every single faith that we are presented to prove that, in fact, there is no faiths out there. It was like, at least when the name was first presented to me, or when I started getting excited about the name, I thought No Faith in Humanity, it implied that, like, we're interviewing people because they don't put their faith in humanity. Instead, we're putting our faith in different things, in different gods, and different, like, religions or spiritualities or whatever. And that's kind of how I perceived it. But over time, it was like, ooh, man, it could be turned around.
One of the things that I was thinking of when we came up with the name No Faith in Humanity,
Okay.
I'm going to own it now. I came up with it. I'm so sorry. But one of the things I was thinking of is that, gosh darn, I just don't have a lot of faith in humanity. But I respect people that do have faith in other things. And so that's kind of why I wanted to say No Faith in Humanity, is because I didn't have any. Just Trump was elected, for Christ's sake. I mean, we watched it. We watched the election with a Trump supporter. It was fun. It was the best election night of my life by far. Having a really cool dude watch it with us and like drink a little bit of beer with us was, I mean, I wouldn't have made it through without him there. I would have been losing my mind. But here was, calm, collected, another guy named Sam, won't mention his last name, God rest his soul.
We were just pacing around this living room, like, pulling her hair. I was pacing around the living room. I'm a pacer, totally. And I was pacing around freaking out. Sam, you were freaking out too, maybe not pacing. And he was just chilling there, drinking like all our beers. just like hanging out, eating the chips with the salsa, just like cool as a cucumber while we were losing it.
He knew this day would come. He knew he was a believer. He was a believer from day one. Yeah, well, maybe not day one, but he was at least a believer by the time election night rolled around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, we had kind of lost our faith in humanity, and then we started a podcast called No Faith in Humanity, and things made sense in that light. And following the Trump election, there were a lot of good reasons to continue losing faith in humanity, but there weren't any good reasons if I tuned out of the news and just paid attention to the people we were interviewing in these podcasts. Starting with Dower, his story was so touching and restored my faith that people are good people.
For sure, yeah.
And or there is goodness in everyone, and there is goodness in those who suffer. And Dower, just seemed to meet all the criteria of what I would want, myself to be like, or at least any, child I bring into the world. And anyway, so slowly faith began to be restored in humanity, at least for me.
Yeah. For me, I don't think I ever didn't have faith in humanity, because I didn't paint everyone. The election of Trump, was devastating for me, for sure, and I was really still upset with it. But I didn't paint it like, oh, everybody's crap or whatever because of it. And for me, it was more not so much that I lost faith in humanity, but it was just that just people are putting their faith in other things other than humanity and worldly things, just in a physical sense, because I'm viewing the people that we're talking to as something outside of the physical world that we interact with. So that's kind of where I was coming from. And then when we just decided that we're gonna, I think it was also you that kind of just mentioned the Faith in Humanity podcast. You're just let's eliminate no, because I knew that we needed the change. I just didn't know what the name was going to be. And I was going to talk about it with you, but when you said the Faith in Humanity podcast, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I think that's good. So if we get any flack in this, and if we have to change your name a third time, you're off the podcast. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to kick you off at that point.
I thought there were 4 strikes in podcasting. I'm holding up 3 freaking fingers right after I said 4 strikes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do this all the time. Whenever I mention a number and then I hold up fingers, I always get the amount of fingers wrong. I can't tell why, but I don't know, man. I need help. Speaking of part 2 of our mini-sode, I still need help. Mental Health Awareness Month.
And I think that will factor into our change. I think the reasons for the change was you're gonna see that Sam and I were very separate. When we both came to these conclusions, no communication. I think that part 2 is gonna shine more light onto why we decided to make the change at this point. But some people may be well, you kind of knew that the name was a little bit off in the first one, but then what really kind of triggered us to make the change.
Well, yeah, we were definitely in separate places. Can I give a teaser?
Sure. Yeah.
Am I allowed to tease with this?
You can tease. Show them a little leg.
Show them a little leg? Do I have any holes in these pants? Speaking of which, no, hold on. I'm really proud of this, actually. Okay. I gained 20 pounds in 2 weeks. In part because I was institutionalized, and during some of that, I was in a little solitary confinement room that was creepy as fuck. Dude, walls had helped me scratched into them, paint chipped off. I mean, it was just more than paint. You could see the wood in some places. But anyways, so we were in different places, and in one of those places was where I came to the realization that I need to change this podcast name. I can't do this anymore, because I just met some of the most beautiful people in there. And so I kind of hope I can share a bit of that with you on our next mini-sode. It'll be coming out when?
Well, it's going to be the part 2. So we're going to release part 1 coming up this Sunday. And then part 2 will be the following Sunday, where you're going to discuss everything that happened. But part 1 is really interesting, because it pretty much was recorded 24 hours before you began on the track, which ended with you being institutionalized. So it's kind of interesting little.
Hey folks, I'm out now though. I'm out now. Not doing this from abroad. We're recording on separate mics, but we're at the same table together. Got the great book of L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics in between us. Good bonding agent. Some Taco Bell.
Sam is in a straitjacket though, so we are in the same place, but Sam is still in that's probably not appropriate.
Yeah, this is one of the things I came to realize in there is I feel like I am a straight guy, but I don't know. I'm a little bit gay. Does that make me queer? Do they still have the Q? One of my friends who seems to be way more progressive than I am and way more sensitive to these types of issues said that they took the Q out. And I was like, geez, what the heck? I thought the Q was my only hope.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that everybody's at least like a little gay. At least like 5%. For sure.
Do you feel like I'm a little bit more gay than you are?
It's a good question. We may have to put that to the test. That's where it's gonna end. That's how the episode ends. Part 3.
By the way, the room just blew up.
Yeah.